can't forget the past. The story of letting go, a powerful life lesson you must learn. Does your past feel like an invisible chain holding you back every single day? Listen to this story. It might be the moment you finally learn to set yourself free. Everyone thinks letting go means erasing memories, but the truth is, sometimes letting go means learning not to carry the pain with you. This is the story of a man who believed he would forever be a prisoner of his past. But life showed him that even when your wounds never fade, there is always a way to rise again. There was a small village nestled in a green valley where mountain springs flowed and the scent of wildflowers filled the morning air. The houses were built of stone and timber. The villagers lived simple lives, each carrying a hidden story in their hearts. But none of their stories were as bitter as that of Nolan. Nolan had once been a passionate, hopeful young man, a skilled carpenter who built houses with his hands and warmth with his heart. He had loved a woman named Laura. People used to say Laura's eyes were like the dawn of the first spring day, bright and unburdened. Their wedding had brought joy to the entire village, but years later, a terrible fire took everything. Their home burned down. Laura and their little boy lost their lives in the flames. Since that night, Nolan never worked again. He left his house and moved to a ruined hut on the edge of the village. Every dawn, he returned to the charred remains of his old home. He would sit on the half-burned steps and stare at the empty space where his family used to stand. People in the village sighed. Some said, "That man will never come back to life." But an old woman named Silva always said, "No one remains a prisoner forever. One day the soul will want to live again." Nolan did not believe it. He thought that if he ever left that ruin, he would be abandoning his love too. Every day, Nolan carried a leather pouch with him. Inside were just a few things: a half-burned photo from their wedding day, a tiny pair of children's shoes, and a letter Laura had written before she died, a letter she never got to give him. Each day he took these out, stared at them, sometimes crying, sometimes just sitting in silence. To him, these were more than memories. He believed that if he ever lost this pouch, he himself would disappear. One day, as he was returning the photo to the pouch, his finger snagged on the scorched edge of the paper, tearing it. Blood trickled down from his hand, and for the first time, he realized these keepsakes were not only memories, they were wounds, and wounds never heal if you touch them every single day. One rainy evening, Silva climbed the hill to see him. Nolan sighed when he saw her. "You've come again to lecture me?" Silva smiled. "No, this time I've come to show you something." From her bag, she took out a small box. "My husband made this for me. When we were young, I kept all his love letters inside. But after he died, I opened this box every day and wept. Years passed, and I realized the more I clung to the past, the farther I drifted from the present." Nolan asked, "How did you let go?" "I didn't realize when it happened. One day, I simply grew tired of always being sad. I was tired of never seeing the sunrise because I kept staring into the darkness behind me." They sat in silence. The rain grew stronger. Silva spoke again, softly but with certainty. "I still love him, but I learned that love is not a prison. If love stops you from living, it is not love at all. Remember this well." That night, Nolan returned to the ruins. A cold wind blew, and the broken roof moaned in the dark. But this time, instead of sitting in the corner, he stood tall. He reached into the pouch and took out Laura's letter. His hands trembled. Slowly, he began to read, "My dearest Nolan, if you are reading this, it means I am no longer by your side. I know you will believe life has no meaning without me, but I beg you, go on. For our little boy who wanted to grow up and be like you, for all the dreams we once built together, and for yourself. I will always live in your heart. But you must truly live, not just breathe." Nolan's tears fell onto the letter. That night, the moon hid behind the clouds, but he felt a small flame of hope flicker alive within him. The next morning, the villagers saw Nolan walking down from the ruins. This time, the leather pouch was gone. All he carried was a tall piece of wood on which he had carved, "You cannot burn the memories, but you can learn to stop weeping over them." He went back to his old workshop. The carpenter's bench had gathered years of dust. He wiped it clean, brought out planks of wood, and started building a bench. He planned to place it on the hilltop, where the horizon stretched as far as the eye could see. A place to remember his loved ones and to accept a new life. Building the bench took days. Every day villagers passed by. Some shook their heads, some sighed. But Nolan no longer heard anyone's opinions. When the work was done, he lifted the bench onto his shoulders. He climbed to the highest point of the hill. There, under the vast blue sky, he set it in place. Then he sat down, took a deep breath, and whispered, "I have forgiven, not because I forgot, but because I will no longer be a slave to my past." Years passed. Nolan built a new life. He brought his workshop back to life. He took on apprentices and taught them carpentry. But everyone knew that every evening he climbed to that same bench. Sometimes he would place his hand over his heart and smile. He became a living story for the villagers, the tale of a man who learned that true love means honoring the past, but living in the present. Moral of the story: letting go means understanding that your past will always be part of your heart, but you can learn to smile at it instead of weeping. If you were in Nolan's place, how would you make peace with your past? What are you still carrying that you need to set down? Share your thoughts in the comments. Your story may inspire someone else.